Ambassador Daniel Carter stood in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime, watching alien delegates laugh at Earth's latest request. The space station was huge, bigger than most cities. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered here to make decisions that affected the entire galaxy. But Earth's voice barely mattered. The human petition is denied, announced Councillor Zethron of the Altarian Republic. The tall, blue-skinned alien didn't even look at Daniel when he spoke. 3 New Star. Systems are more than enough for such a young species. Daniel felt his anger rising. Earth had asked for permission to settle 12 new worlds. The Altarians had been given 43 systems just last month. The Vegan Trade Consortium had received 62. Even the smallest alien nations got more than Earth. Counselor, Daniel said, stepping forward. Humanity has been part of the Galactic Federation for 50 years. We've followed every rule, paid every tax, and supported every decision. We deserve the same rights as other species. The alien delegates started laughing again. Zethron's 4 eyes glowed with amusement. Rights must be earned, human. Your species has barely learned to travel between stars. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, you'll be ready for true responsibilities. Admiral Helen Brooks sat in the observer section, watching the humiliation with growing fury. She had served in Earth's Space Navy for 30 years. She had seen human colonies struggling with overcrowding while empty alien worlds sat unused. The aliens treated humans like children, who should be grateful for scraps. The Altarian Republic requires those star systems for future expansion, Zethron continued. The Vegan Consortium needs them for trade routes. The Draconis Alliance claims them for military security. Humans will make do with what they have. Daniel tried one more time. Our colonies are overcrowded. Our people need new worlds to build their lives. We're not asking for charity. We're asking for fairness. Fairness? Zethron's voice was filled with mock surprise. You receive the greatest gift in the galaxy, membership in our civilization. You should be grateful we allow primitives like you to sit in this chamber at all. A hall filled with alien laughter. Daniel felt his face turn red with shame and anger. This was how it always went. Earth would ask for something reasonable. The aliens would deny it. Then they would insult humanity while granting much more to their own kind. After the session ended, Daniel walked to the observation deck. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from across the galaxy. Altarian vessels that looked like floating crystals. Vegan ships covered in solar panels. Draconis warships bristling with weapons. And there, almost hidden in the corner, were 3 small Earth vessels. Admiral Brooks joined him at the window. How much longer do we have to take this? She asked. As long as it takes, Daniel replied. We're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. If we make them angry, they could destroy us. Maybe, Helen said. But watching them treat us like garbage is destroying us too. Just slowly. Back on Earth, Captain Jake Murphy was having problems of his own. His ship, the USS Horizon, was exploring the Kepler system when something unusual appeared on his sensors. A massive object was floating in empty space, but it didn't match any known technology. Captain, called Navigation Officer Amy Foster, were picking up some kind of structure. It's big, but the sensors can't get a clear reading. Jake studied. The display, whatever it was ancient. The metal was covered with strange symbols that his computers couldn't translate. Take us closer, but be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with. Chief Engineer Rick Davis ran scans from the engine room. Captain, this thing is old. I mean really old. The metal is showing signs of age that would take millions of years to develop. Jake felt his heart racing. A discovery this important could change everything for humanity. Can we get inside? There's what looks like a docking port on the side. But the design is nothing like current galactic technology. Jake made his decision. Prepare a boarding party. We're going to explore this thing. The team that boarded the ancient ship included Dr. Lisa Stone, Earth's leading expert on alien archaeology. She had spent years studying the ruins left by. The mysterious progenitors, the race that had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago before vanishing without a trace. "My God," she whispered as they entered the ship, "this is progenitor technology, but it's different from anything we've found before." The ship was huge inside, with corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Strange lights flickered along the walls. The air was still breathable, somehow kept fresh by systems that had been running for millions of years. They found the central chamber filled with crystal displays, showing star charts, species information, and historical records. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. "Captain," Dr. Stone called out, "you need to see this." She was standing before a massive display showing the galaxy as it had been millions of years ago. But instead of the current alien civilizations, the stars were marked with symbols that looked familiar. "These symbols," she said, her voice shaking, "they're not alien. They're human. Ancient human." Jake stared at the display. "That's impossible. Humans didn't leave Earth until 300 years ago." "That's what we thought," Dr. Stone replied. "But this suggests otherwise. According to these records, humans were the progenitors. We ruled the galaxy millions of years ago." The implications were staggering. If humans were the descendants of the progenitors, then every species in the galaxy owed its existence to ancient human science. The aliens who treated humanity like primitive newcomers were actually the children of human civilization. "There's more," Dr. Stone continued, reading from the crystal displays. "These records show that the progenitors didn't disappear. They chose to leave. They had become too powerful, too dangerous. They feared they would destroy everything they had created." Jake felt dizzy. "So they left the galaxy?" "Not exactly. They went into exile on a single world. They gave up their technology, their power, their memories. They chose to start over as a primitive species." "Earth," Jake whispered. "Earth, Doctor." Stone confirmed. "We're not newcomers to the galaxy. We're the original rulers returning home." The discovery changed everything. As the USS Horizon headed back to Earth, Jake realized that humanity's position in the galaxy was about to shift dramatically. The aliens who had spent 50 years treating humans as inferior were about to learn the truth. Humans weren't primitive newcomers begging for acceptance. They were the rightful heirs to the galaxy, and they had been far too patient for far too long. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Daniel Carter received the encrypted message from Captain Murphy. As he read the report, his anger at the day's humiliation transformed into something else entirely. For 50 years, humanity had tried to be good neighbors. They had accepted insults, restrictions, and second-class citizenship because they believed in peace. They had restrained themselves because they thought they were weak. That restraint was about to end. Daniel looked out at the alien ships surrounding the station. Soon, very soon, they would learn what happened when you pushed humanity too far. The galaxy was about to remember who really ruled the stars, and this time, humans would not choose exile. President Matt Johnson sat in the secure briefing room deep under the White House, staring at the evidence spread across the table. Photos of the ancient ship, translations of progenitor records, and genetic analysis reports that confirmed humanity's incredible origin. Everything he had believed about human history was wrong. "Mr. President," said Dr. Lisa Stone, "the genetic markers are unmistakable. Modern humans carry dormant progenitor DNA. We're not just descendants, we're the same species, altered by millions of years of deliberate evolution." General Scott Williams, head of Earth's military forces, leaned forward. "What does this mean?" For our current situation, it means we've been playing by the wrong rules, President Johnson replied. The aliens have been treating us like children, but we're not children. We're the parents who walked away from home. The discovery came at the worst possible time. Reports were flooding in from across human space about increasing alien aggression. The Draconis Alliance had just seized 3 human colonies. The vegan consortium was strangling Earth's trade routes. The Altarian Republic was openly discussing the human problem in their government sessions. Sir, General Williams said, we're getting reports from New Montana. Governor Karen West says Draconis ships are approaching the colony. She's requesting immediate military support. President Johnson looked at the tactical display. New Montana was a peaceful farming world with 2 million human colonists. They had no military defenses except a small police force. If the Draconis Alliance invaded, it would be a massacre. How long before our nearest ships can reach them? 3 days, sir. The Draconis fleet will be there in 12 hours. President Johnson felt helpless. For 50 years, humanity had followed galactic law. They had limited their military to small patrol ships and defensive stations. The alien powers maintained massive fleets, while humans were barely allowed to protect themselves. There's something else, Dr. Stone said quietly. The progenitor records mention something called the Arsenal, a hidden facility where the ancient humans stored their most powerful technology before going into exile. Where is it? The coordinates are in the records. It's located in the space between galaxies, completely hidden from normal sensors. According to the data, it can only be activated by someone with pure progenitor genetics. General Williams looked skeptical. Dr. Stone, with respect, that sounds like science fiction. Hidden arsenals activated by genetics? General, 3 days ago you would have said the same thing about humans being the progenitors. But here we are. President Johnson made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Dr. Stone, you have unlimited resources to locate this arsenal. General Williams, begin quietly mobilizing our forces. And get me Ambassador Carter on a secure channel. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Daniel Carter was watching the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The topic was the human expansion problem, and the proposed solutions were getting worse by the hour. The humans breed too quickly, declared Councillor Zethron. Their population growth exceeds acceptable limits. We must relocate them to designated reservation worlds where they can be properly monitored. The vegan representative nodded agreement. Our trade analysis shows human colonies are becoming too economically independent. They must be brought under direct alien administration. Daniel felt sick. They were talking about his people like they were animals to be managed. 50 years of cooperation and friendship meant nothing to these creatures. Furthermore, Zethran continued, human military forces must be reduced to ceremonial levels. No species should maintain armed forces beyond what the Council approves. The Draconis delegates stood up. The Draconis Alliance has already begun implementing these policies. Human colonies that resist relocation will be occupied for their own protection. Daniel activated his communication device. This is Ambassador. Carter to Earth Command. Emergency status? The Council is authorizing the forced relocation of all human colonies. Repeat, they're planning to move our people to reservation worlds. The secure reply came immediately from President Johnson. Daniel, new information has come to light. Return to Earth immediately. We need to talk. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Murphy was facing his own crisis. The USS Horizon had been attacked by 3 Draconis warships while investigating another progenitor site. His ship was badly damaged, and his crew was fighting for their lives. Captain, reported Chief Engineer Rick Davis, hull breach on decks 4 and 5. Life support is failing in the forward sections. Navigation Officer Amy Foster was working frantically at her station. "Sir, the Draconis ships are demanding our surrender. They claim we violated their territorial space." Jake checked his star charts. They were clearly in neutral space, nowhere near Draconis territory. "This is an unprovoked attack. Send a distress signal to Earth Command." "Already tried, sir. They're jamming our communications." The lead Draconis ship sent a message. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your crew will be taken for questioning about illegal activities in restricted space." Jake knew what that meant. The Draconis Alliance was notorious for their interrogation methods. His crew would be tortured for information and then probably executed. He had to make a choice: surrender and die, or fight and probably die. "All hands, prepare for ramming speed," he ordered. "If we're going down, we're taking one of them with us." The USS Horizon turned toward the nearest Draconis ship. But before Jake could give the final order, something incredible happened. The ancient progenitor systems that Dr. Stone had activated began to respond to the human crew's DNA. Suddenly, Amy Foster could see the battle in her mind before it happened. Rick Davis found himself able to control the ship's systems with just his thoughts. Jake felt knowledge flowing into his brain, tactical information that no human should possess. "Captain," Amy said, her voice strange and distant, "turn 15 degrees to port, full power to forward shields. Fire at these exact coordinates." Jake didn't understand what was happening, but he trusted his crew. The USS Horizon's weapons fired at empty space. 3 seconds later, the Draconis ships flew directly into the attack. Their shields collapsed and their engines went dead. "Impossible," Jake whispered. "How did you know where they would be?" "I could see it," Amy replied. "Like watching a movie of the future. We're changing, Captain. The progenitor technology is waking up something in our DNA." On the colony world of New Montana, the situation was desperate. Governor Corinne West watched from her office as Draconis landing ships descended toward the main city. The colonists had no military training and no weapons except hunting rifles and farm tools. "Ma'am," reported her aide, "the Draconis commander is demanding your immediate surrender. He says resistance will be met with total destruction." Corinne looked out at the peaceful farms and small towns that made up her world. 2 million people who had come here to build better lives. They didn't deserve to be enslaved by alien conquerors. "Send a message to all settlements," she ordered. "Tell them to hide the children and prepare to fight. If we're going to die, we'll die as free humans." The Draconis forces expected easy victory. They had conquered dozens of species and never faced serious resistance. But they had never fought humans who had nothing left to lose. The colonists used every trick they could think of. They sabotaged the landing zones, set traps in the forests, and fought from hidden positions. They couldn't win, but they made the aliens pay for every mile of ground. Colonel Beth Martinez, the colony's only military officer, led the desperate defense. She had 20 security guards and 3,000 civilian volunteers. Against them came 5,000 Draconis soldiers with advanced weapons and armor. "Remember," she told her people, "we're not just fighting for New Montana. We're fighting to show the galaxy that humans don't surrender." The battle was brutal. The colonists fought with farming tools against energy weapons. They used their knowledge of the local terrain to launch surprise attacks. They died in horrible numbers, but they kept fighting. By the time Earth reinforcements arrived 3 days later, New Montana was in ruins. Half the colonists were dead. The other half were in Draconis prison camps. But something important had happened during those 3 days. The Draconis forces had taken massive casualties. They had expected an easy victory, and instead found themselves fighting the most determined enemy they had ever faced. Word of the battle spread through the galaxy. Humans had fought impossible odds and made their enemies pay. President Johnson addressed the human colonies after the battle. New Montana has fallen, but its people have not died in vain. They have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of when we stop holding back. Ambassador Carter returned to Earth with news that made the situation even worse. The Galactic Council had voted to begin the human relocation program within 30 days. Every human colony would be moved to reservation worlds where they could be properly supervised. They're not just trying to control us, he told President Johnson. They're planning to destroy us as a free people. Dr. Stone had been working around the clock to decode the progenitor records. Mr. President, I've found the arsenal. It's real, and it's bigger than we imagined. The facility contains weapons and technology that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. President Johnson looked at the holographic display showing the H. Admiral Helen Brooks stood on the bridge of the USS Discovery, watching the empty darkness between galaxies. For 3 weeks, they had been following the coordinates from the progenitor records. Now, finally, their sensors were detecting something. Impossible. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Commander Tony Clark, we're picking up a massive structure ahead. It's completely invisible to normal sensors, but the progenitor scanning equipment is showing something huge. Helen looked at the display. The object was enormous, bigger than Earth's moon, hanging in the void between galaxies. It had been waiting here for millions of years, hidden from every species in the galaxy except its creators. Take us closer, she ordered, but keep all weapons ready. We don't know what we're dealing with. Dr. Lisa Stone was studying the readings from her science station. Admiral, the structure is responding to our presence. It's scanning us, analyzing our DNA. The progenitor technology is recognizing us as the rightful heirs. Captain Jake Murphy, still recovering from his battle with the Draconis ships, was part of the expedition team. His experience with the awakening progenitor systems had made him valuable to the mission. Dr. Stone, what exactly are we looking at? The arsenal, she replied. The hidden facility where the progenitors stored their most advanced technology before going into exile. According to the records, it contains weapons that could reshape the galaxy. As they approached the massive structure, docking bays opened automatically. The USS Discovery was guided inside by systems that had been waiting millions of years for this moment. The lights came on as they docked, revealing corridors that stretched as far as the eye could see. My God, whispered Chief Engineer Rick Davis, this place is huge. It's like a city floating in space. The exploration team that entered the arsenal included Admiral Brooks, Dr. Stone, Captain Murphy, and Colonel Beth Martinez, who had survived the battle on New Montana. They were the first humans to walk these halls since their ancestors had sealed the facility. The arsenal was beyond anything they had imagined. Vast chambers filled with ships that dwarfed Earth's largest vessels, weapons that could destroy stars, technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. And at the center of it all, a massive artificial intelligence that called itself the Keeper. Welcome home, the Keeper said as they entered the central chamber. Its voice was calm and somehow familiar. I have waited long for the return of the progenitor's children. You're an AI? Admiral Brooks asked. I am the final gift of your ancestors. They created me to guard their legacy until their descendants were ready to claim it. That time has come. Dr. Stone stepped forward. The record said this facility would only activate for someone with pure progenitor genetics. How do you know? We're ready? The Keeper's projection smiled. Because you are here. The arsenal only reveals itself when humanity truly needs it. Your ancestors chose exile over domination. They hoped their children would never need to make that choice. But circumstances have forced your hand. The AI showed them holographic. displays of the current galaxy, the Altarian Republic building massive fleets, the Vegan Consortium strangling human trade, the Draconis Alliance occupying human colonies, the systematic oppression of humanity by species that owed their existence to human ancestors. Your restraint has been admirable, the Keeper continued. But restraint without respect is not peace. It is submission. And submission will lead to extinction. Colonel Martinez, who had watched her people die on New Montana, spoke up. What can you offer us? How can we fight back against the entire galaxy? The Keeper gestured to the vast chambers around them. Everything your ancestors built. Ships that can travel faster than light itself. Weapons that can disable entire fleets without destroying them. Technology that will give individual humans abilities that seem impossible. What kind of abilities? Captain Murphy asked. Enhanced reflexes, tactical precognition, molecular manipulation. The progenitor enhancement process will unlock capabilities that have been dormant in human DNA for millions of years. Dr. Stone studied the technical data streaming across the displays. This is incredible, but there must be a cost. Why did the progenitors give up this power? Because power without wisdom is dangerous, the Keeper replied. Your ancestors became so advanced that they feared they would destroy everything they loved. They chose to start over rather than risk becoming monsters. And now? Admiral Brooks asked. Now their children face extinction. The choice is no longer between power and wisdom. It is between survival and annihilation. The Keeper activated the first stage of the arsenal. Massive ships began powering up, their systems coming online after millions of years of sleep. Weapons charged with energy that could crack planets. Manufacturing facilities started producing technology that would revolutionize human civilization. The process begins with volunteers, the Keeper explained. Humans who are willing to undergo the enhancement process. They will become the first of the new generation, bridges between what humanity was and what it must become. Colonel Martinez stepped forward. I volunteer. My people died because we were too weak to protect them. I won't let that happen again. Captain. Murphy joined her. My crew has already started changing. We might as well finish the process. Admiral Brooks looked at the incredible technology around them. How long will it take? For the first enhancements, hours. For the full awakening of the Arsenal days. For the transformation of humanity, years. But the process begins now. Meanwhile, back in the galaxy, the situation was getting worse. The Draconis Alliance had announced the final solution to the human problem. All human colonies would be evacuated to prison worlds within 60 days. Any resistance would be met with total destruction. On Earth, President Matt Johnson was addressing the emergency session of the World Council. My fellow humans, we face the greatest crisis in our species history. The aliens who have benefited from our cooperation for 50 years now plan to destroy us as a free people. General Scott Williams reported on the military situation. Sir, we're detecting massive alien fleet movements. The Altarians are positioning ships around our colonies. The vegans are cutting off all trade. The Draconis Alliance is building what looks like prisoner transport ships. How much time do we have? Maybe 2 months before they begin forced relocations. After that, human civilization as we know it will cease to exist. President Johnson looked at the faces around the table. Leaders from every nation on Earth, all united in the face of extinction. Admiral Brooks has located the arsenal. If her mission succeeds, we'll have options. If it fails, he didn't need to finish. Everyone understood the stakes in the arsenal. The first human volunteers were undergoing the enhancement process. Colonel Martinez lay in a chamber filled with swirling energy, her DNA being rewritten by progenitor technology. The process was painful but transformative. "Colonel," the keeper said, "you will be the first of the new generation. Your abilities will seem impossible to those who have not been enhanced. Use them wisely." When Beth Martinez emerged from the chamber, she was no longer entirely human. Her reflexes were superhuman. Her mind could process information at incredible speeds. Most importantly, she could sense the thoughts and intentions of others. "How do you feel?" Dr. Stone asked. "Different," Beth replied. "Like I've been asleep my whole life and just woke up. I can see things, understand things that were hidden before." Captain Murphy underwent the process next. When he emerged, he found he could control the ship's systems with his thoughts. The boundary between human and machine had blurred. "This is incredible," he said. "I can feel the ship's systems like they're part of my body, and I can see probable futures, like paths branching ahead of us." Dr. Stone was analyzing the enhancement data. "The process is awakening dormant sections of human DNA. We're not becoming something new. We're becoming what we were always meant to be." The keeper began activating more of the arsenal systems. Ships that had slept for millions of years came online. Each vessel was a masterpiece of progenitor engineering, capable of feats that current galactic technology couldn't match. "These ships will be crewed by enhanced humans," the keeper explained. "The interface between human consciousness and progenitor. Technology will create capabilities that neither could achieve alone." Admiral Brooks watched as the arsenal transformed from a sleeping monument into a living military base. "How many ships are there?" "Thousands. Your ancestors built this facility to defend the galaxy from any threat. Now it will defend their children from extinction." The first test came when Draconis scouts found the human expedition. 3 alien ships approached the arsenal, demanding identification and surrender. They expected to find a small human research vessel. Instead, they found the USS Awakening, the first ship to be fully integrated with progenitor technology. Captain Sarah Kim, one of the newly enhanced humans, commanded the vessel. "Draconis ships," she transmitted. "You are trespassing in human space. Withdraw immediately." The alien commander laughed. "Human space? You primitives have no authority. Here, prepare to be boarded." "I warned you," Captain Kim replied. The USS Awakening didn't fire weapons. Instead, it used progenitor technology to simply turn off the aliens' ships. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Life support systems switched to emergency mode. "Impossible, T." Counselor Zethron of the Altarian Republic was having the worst day of his long life. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy about impossible human activities. Ships that could disable entire fleets without firing a shot. Human soldiers with abilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics. Technology that shouldn't exist. "This is impossible," he said to his military advisors. Yesterday, the humans were primitive newcomers. Today, they're displaying technology that's beyond our understanding. General Morthic, head of the Altarian military, studied the reports. "Sir, our scouts have confirmed it. The humans have somehow gained access to advanced technology. Our weapons are useless against them." "Then we'll use more weapons," Zethron replied. "Contact the Draconis Alliance and the Vegan Consortium. If the humans have become dangerous, we'll destroy them before they can threaten the established order." But the other galactic powers were dealing with their own crises. The Draconis Alliance had lost contact with 3 invasion fleets. The Vegan Consortium found their trade ships being disabled by mysterious human vessels. Panic was spreading through the alien governments. On Earth, President Mac Johnson was addressing the human people. "My fellow citizens, for 50 years we have tried to be good neighbors in this galaxy. We have accepted insults, restrictions, and attacks because we believed in peace. That patience is over." Behind him, Holographic displays showed the transformed human fleet. Ships that gleamed with impossible technology. Weapons that could reshape reality itself. The arsenal had given humanity tools that seemed like magic to the rest of the galaxy. The alien powers have voted to relocate all human colonies to reservation worlds, President Johnson continued. They plan to destroy us as a free people. We have a simple message for them. We restrained ourselves for 50 years. We won't restrain ourselves anymore. The first demonstration of humanity's new power came at the Altarian home system. A single human ship, the USS Awakening, arrived at the edge of their space. Captain Sarah Kim, enhanced with progenitor technology, could sense the alien fleet's intentions before they acted. Altarian vessels, she transmitted. You have forces moving toward human colonies. Withdraw them immediately. The Altarian commander was confident in his numerical superiority. Human ship, you are outnumbered 50-1. Surrender or be destroyed. You were warned, Captain Kim replied. What happened next changed galactic history. The USS Awakening didn't attack the Altarian fleet. Instead, it used progenitor technology to simply turn off their weapons and engines. 50 massive warships became floating debris in a matter of seconds. Impossible, the Altarian commander gasped. How did you disable our entire fleet? We stopped playing by your rules, Captain Kim answered. Your ships are undamaged, but helpless. This is your only warning. Human colonies will be returned to human control immediately. The demonstration sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Altarian Republic, one of the most powerful civilizations in known space, had been humiliated by a single human ship. If humanity could do this to the Altarians, what could they do to smaller powers? But the alien governments were too proud to surrender. Instead of backing down, they decided to escalate. The Draconis Alliance launched a massive assault on the human colony of New Texas. They sent their entire Third Fleet, over 300 ships, to overwhelm the human defenders. Colonel Beth Martinez, now enhanced with progenitor abilities, led the defense of New Texas. She had 20 enhanced human soldiers and 50 normal colonists. Against them came 10,000 Draconis warriors with the best equipment in the galaxy. Remember, she told her people, we're not just defending New Texas. We're showing the galaxy what happens when you attack human families. The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. The enhanced humans moved like ghosts, anticipating every enemy move. They seemed to know where attacks would come from before the aliens fired. Their weapons pierced Draconis armor like paper, but the most terrifying aspect was their complete lack of mercy. The Draconis had come to enslave human families. The enhanced humans made sure that none of the invaders would ever threaten another human colony. Private Danny Wright, one of the enhanced soldiers, found himself able to see the battle from multiple perspectives at once. He could predict where enemies would move, what weapons they would use, even what they were thinking. Colonel, he reported, I can sense their tactical plans. They're trying to surround the main settlement, but I can see 3 ways to counter their attack. Do it, Martinez ordered. The human defenders struck with surgical precision. They didn't just defeat the Draconis assault, they annihilated it. Of the 10,000 alien soldiers who landed on New Texas, none survived. The message was clear. Attacking human colonies was no longer a viable strategy. The news of the New Texas massacre spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The Draconis Alliance, known for their military superiority, had been completely destroyed by a handful of enhanced humans. Fear began to replace arrogance in alien government circles. On the space station Nexus Prime, Ambassador Daniel Carter was delivering humanity's final diplomatic message to the Galactic Council. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence as he spoke. For 50 years, we have asked for fairness and received contempt. We have requested equal treatment and been given insults. We have sought friendship and found only exploitation. Daniel looked around the chamber at the alien faces. Some showed fear, others defiance, but all of them were finally paying attention to humanity's representative. You have voted to relocate our people to reservation worlds. You have attacked our colonies. You have treated us like animals to be managed. This ends now. Counselor Zethron stood up, his 4 eyes blazing with anger. You dare threaten this council? You are one species against hundreds. We will not be intimidated by primitive upstarts. Daniel smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Primitive? Counselor, let me share something with you. The progenitors, the ancient race that seeded this galaxy with life, didn't disappear. They went into exile on a single world. That world was Earth. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Alien delegates spoke rapidly in their own languages, trying to process this impossible revelation. You're lying, Zethrin said, but his voice was shaking. The progenitors vanished millions of years ago. They chose exile over domination, Daniel continued. They had become too powerful, too dangerous. So they gave up their technology, their memories, their empire. They chose to become a simple species on a forgotten world. Dr. Lisa Stone, who had arrived from the arsenal, activated a holographic display. The chamber filled with images of progenitor ruins, genetic analysis, and historical records. Every species in this galaxy exists because of progenitor science, she said. Your worlds were terraformed by human ancestors. Your civilizations were built on the foundations they left behind. You owe your existence to the very people you've been oppressing. The implications were staggering. The alien powers had spent centuries building their civilizations on human ruins. They had treated humanity like inferior newcomers while benefiting from ancient human technology. But that was millions of years ago, protested the vegan representative. You're not the same species, aren't we? Daniel replied. Captain Murphy, please demonstrate. Captain Jake Murphy, enhanced with progenitor abilities, stepped forward. Without touching any controls, he began manipulating the chamber systems with his thoughts. Lights dimmed and brightened. Displays activated and showed tactical information. The environmental systems responded to his mental commands. Impossible, whispered the Draconis delegate. How is he doing that? Progenitor technology responds. To progenitor genetics, Dr. Stone explained. The arsenal has awakened abilities that have been dormant in human DNA for millions of years. We're not becoming something new. We're remembering what we always were, the demonstration continued. Captain Murphy showed enhanced reflexes, tactical precognition, and the ability to interface directly with any technology in the chamber. Alien delegates watched in growing terror as they realized what humanity had become. You want to know why we restrained ourselves? Daniel asked. Because we remembered the lessons of our ancestors. Power without wisdom is dangerous. We tried to be good neighbors, to build a peaceful galaxy where all species could prosper. His voice grew harder. But you mistook our restraint for weakness. You thought you could abuse us, enslave us, destroy us. You were wrong. Counselor Zethron was backing away from the human delegation. What do you want? Justice, Daniel replied. Full recognition of human rights. Return of all seized colonies. Reparations for the damage you've caused. And most importantly, respect. And if we refuse? Daniel's smile was cold. Then you'll discover why the progenitors chose exile. We've been holding back for 50 years, trying to be the neighbors you wanted us to be. But we're done pretending to be weak. The chamber fell silent. Every alien delegate understood the threat. Humanity had revealed abilities that seemed impossible, technology that could reshape the galaxy, and a heritage that made them the rightful heirs to everything the aliens had built. But some species are too proud to surrender. The Draconis Alliance, humiliated by their defeats, decided to make one final attempt to destroy humanity. They gathered their remaining fleets and lawn. 1 year after the Great Awakening, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The Galactic Council had been dissolved and replaced with the human hegemony. Every major decision affecting the galaxy now required human approval. The species that had once treated humanity as inferior now competed for the privilege of serving human interests. President Matt Johnson stood in the newly constructed capital of New Atlantis, a massive space station built using progenitor technology at the galaxy's center. Through the observation windows, he could see ships from hundreds of worlds bringing tribute to their human overlords. "The transformation is complete," reported Admiral Helen Brooks, now Director of Galactic Defense. "All former alien military forces have been disbanded. Human-controlled peacekeeping fleets patrol every major system. Resistance has ended." "And the enhancement program?" President Johnson asked, proceeding ahead of schedule. "We now have over 50,000 enhanced humans serving in key positions throughout the galaxy. The integration of progenitor technology with human genetics is producing results beyond our original projections." Dr. Lisa Stone, now head of the Progenitor Research Division, joined the meeting. "Mr. President, we've made another breakthrough. The arsenal contains manufacturing facilities that can produce progenitor-level technology on an industrial scale. We can begin upgrading human civilization throughout the galaxy." President Johnson looked at the reports showing humanity's new empire. 12,000 star systems under direct human control. 400 alien species serving as vassal states. The greatest military force in galactic history, protecting human interests. "Sometimes I wonder if we've become what our ancestors feared," he said quietly. "Sir?" Admiral Brooks asked. "The progenitors chose exile because they were afraid of their own power. They thought they might become monsters. Have we proven them right?" Dr. Stone considered the question. "The progenitors had a choice between power and wisdom. We had a choice between power and extinction. I think our ancestors would understand." On the former Altarian homeworld, now renamed New Geneva, Ambassador Daniel Carter was meeting with the leaders of the alien species. The proud beings who had once dismissed humanity as primitives now waited nervously for his approval of their requests. "The Vegan Consortium is requesting permission to establish new trade routes," reported his aide, Lieutenant Kevin Hayes. "They're offering 90% of all profits to the human treasury." "Approved," Daniel said. "What about the Altarians?" "Former Counselor Zethron is requesting an audience. He wants to discuss the terms of his species' continued existence." Daniel almost smiled. The arrogant alien who had once mocked human weakness was now begging for mercy. "Send him in." Zethran entered the chamber, his 4 eyes downcast. The proud being who had once ruled a galactic empire now looked broken and desperate. "Ambassador Carter," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I come to beg for my people's survival." "You have my attention," Daniel replied. "We were wrong. We didn't understand what humanity truly was. We thought your restraint was weakness, but it was mercy. We beg for that mercy now." Daniel studied the alien leader. "You voted to relocate my people to reservation worlds. You plan to destroy us as a free species. Why should we show you the mercy you denied us?" "Because," Zethrin said, "you are better than we are. You have the power to destroy us, but you choose not to. That is what makes you worthy of ruling the galaxy." "You're right," Daniel said. "We could destroy you. We could turn your worlds into glass and scatter your people across the void. But we won't. Do you know why? Because you are merciful? Because we remember what mercy looks like. You taught us by showing us what happens when it's absent." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Earth. "Captain Jake." Murphy, now commanding the exploration fleet, had made another discovery that would change everything. "Mr. President," Murphy reported, "we found something incredible. There are other galaxies out there, and they're not empty. We're detecting signs of advanced civilizations. Some of them are more powerful than anything we've encountered." President Johnson felt a chill. "Are they hostile?" "Unknown, sir. But if they are, they might see our expansion as a threat. We could be facing enemies that make the old Galactic Council look like children." The implications were staggering. Just as humanity had achieved dominance over their galaxy, they were discovering that the universe was far larger and more dangerous than they had. Imagine Dr. Stone was already analyzing the data. The energy signatures are consistent with technology, beyond even progenitor levels. We're not alone in the universe, and we might not be the most advanced species. Then we need to be prepared, President Johnson decided. Continue the enhancement program. Build more ships. If there are threats out there, we'll face them as we face the aliens, united and strong. On New Montana, the rebuilt colony was thriving under human rule. Colonel Beth Martinez, now General Martinez, was training the next generation of enhanced humans. The children born after the awakening were showing abilities that surpassed even the first enhanced adults. "Ma'am," reported one of her instructors, "the new recruits are developing capabilities we didn't expect. Some can manipulate matter at the quantum level. Others seem to exist partially outside normal space-time. The evolution continues," Martinez observed. "We're not just returning to what the progenitors were. We're becoming something new." She watched the young enhanced humans training in the facility. They moved with impossible grace, their minds connected to technology in ways that seemed magical. They were the future of humanity, beings who could reshape reality with their thoughts. "The question is," she said to herself, "what will we become?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep in the arsenal, the Keeper had been monitoring humanity's development. It activated a final message, one that had been waiting for this moment. "Children of the progenitors," the message began, "if you are hearing this, then you have chosen power over extinction. This was always the path you would take. We knew that our exile would not last forever." The holographic image of an ancient human appeared, one of the original progenitors who had built the arsenal millions of years ago. "We chose exile because we feared what we might become. But we also hoped that our descendants would be wiser than we were. You face the same choice we faced. Will you use your power to dominate, or will you use it to protect?" The message continued. "The galaxy is not the universe. There are forces out there that would destroy everything we built. The arsenal was not just a gift to help you survive. It was preparation for the war that is coming." President Johnson and his advisors watched, a message in stunned silence. The progenitors had not just given up their power, they had prepared for their descendants to face an enemy that required that power. "What enemy?" Dr. Stone asked. "The Devourers," the message replied. "A force from outside our reality that consumes entire galaxies. They are coming, and when they arrive, only beings with progenitor-level abilities will be able to stop them." The revelation changed everything. Humanity's dominance over the galaxy wasn't an end. It was a beginning. They were not conquerors, but defenders, preparing for a war that would determine the fate of all life in the universe. "The enhancement program is no longer optional," President Johnson announced. "Every human will undergo the process. We're not just rebuilding our civilization. We're preparing for the greatest battle in cosmic history." Admiral Brooks began mobilizing the human fleet. "How long do we have?" "The progenitor calculations suggest the Devourers will arrive within a century," Dr. Stone reported. "We need to be ready." The galaxy that had once scorned humanity now looked to them for protection. The aliens who had treated humans as inferiors now begged to serve in the coming war. The species that had nearly destroyed humanity were now depending on human strength for survival. Ambassador Carter addressed the assembled representatives of all galactic species. We didn't ask to be your rulers. We didn't want this responsibility. But we will not abandon you to face destruction alone. The age of human restraint is over, he continued. We will no longer hold back our power. We will no longer accept limitations on our growth. We will no longer pretend to be less than we are. But we will also not forget the lessons of the past. We will use our power to protect, not to oppress. We will build a galaxy where all species can flourish under human guidance. The transformation was complete. Humanity had gone from being the galaxy's weakest species to its absolute rulers. But with that power came responsibility. The responsibility to prepare for a war that would determine the fate of everything. President Johnson's final address to the galaxy echoed through every system. We restrained ourselves for 50 years because we hoped for peace. We restrained ourselves for millions of years because we feared our own power. But restraint has its limits. The galaxy belongs to humanity now. We didn't take it through conquest. We reclaimed it through birthright. And we will defend it against any threat, no matter how powerful. To the species of this galaxy, serve us faithfully, and you will prosper under our protection. To the enemies beyond our borders, you will face the full might of awakened humanity. We are no longer holding back. We are no longer restraining ourselves. We are what we were always meant to be, the He.